It was still pitch dark when the cock in our compound began to crow incessantly. That was unusual, as I instinctively knew it couldn't be 4 a.m. yet. But I reached for my cell phone to confirm anyway. Of course, I was right. But then, my heart immediately skipped a beat. In this village, the cock never crows before its time. But when it does, it only means trouble. Before I could fully wrap my mind around the implication, a loud bang shook my door. "Tislo! Tislo! Tislo! Wake up!" and opened the door. I recognized the voice. It was Mafeng, my best friend, and without asking any questions, I hurried to the door and let him in. After rushing in, he immediately shut the door behind him, looking at me with teary eyes. "You need to leave the village now, Tislo. They are coming for you." However, I remained silent, staring at him. Seeing that I was not responding, he grabbed me by the shoulders, shaking me slightly, desperate for me to understand. "You know our customs. No man except the king's son can be crowned. It doesn't matter whether he wants to or not. If the king dies, leaving a male child behind, that son must rule. There is no choice, no escape. If he refuses, death is the only consequence." Though the things he was saying were not new to me, they began to weigh heavier hearing him say them again. Then I responded, "Mafeng, you know that even as a child, I had always known this day would come. My father had tried countless times to prepare me for this fate, but he knew I was a tough nut to crack. If he could not convince me for several years, there is no way you could perform any magic on me now. This is because being king had never been in my dreams, not even in my nightmares. I could have forced myself to endure it if only I hadn't seen the dark things my father did while he ruled. I had watched him perform rituals that made my skin crawl, and for me, the crown was his curse, not my inheritance. The day he died, while others wept for the loss of a great ruler, my tears were for something else. I knew they would come for me. I knew the weight of tradition would crush me if I let it. Even on his deathbed, my father had made one last attempt to turn me into his successor. But then, something miraculous happened. He decided to accept Christ moments before he took his last breath. I preached gently to him, and he suddenly realized that the gods he was so devoted to had deserted him in the time he probably needed them the most. He saw the peace and confidence I had, and he wanted the same. And yes, he got it. I saw it in his eyes the moment he said amen to my prayers. However, I only wished he had lived long enough to tell the village himself that he had chosen a different path. But he didn't, and now they want me to walk the road he had forsaken in his final moments. Mafeng sighed out of deep frustration. But before he could argue again, we began to hear the chants and drums. The kingmakers were now within earshot, and Mafeng, with eyes filled with panic, cried again, "Tislo, please, go through the window. Run. Even if you won't accept the throne, don't let them take your life." I turned to him with the same answer I had ever given, "No." Suddenly, we heard a deafening bang rattling the wooden door. Then a thick voice followed, "Tislo, it is time."